So today's topic is about the divine feminine and the feminine energies. And it's really a subject that gets confusing to some people because it's very much a universal energy. When I talk about divine feminine energy, it is an energy. And because we live in a plane, an earth plane that is always about duality, there is feminine and masculine in everything. Okay, so nature operates on feminine and masculine, and we can use those two things not in terms of gender, okay, just in terms of energy. Okay, so we each, both men and women, have feminine energy within us, and the perfect harmonious balance of those energies is what makes us our most powerful and coherent selves. So the goal for us is to be in harmony always with both of our sides, as in everything, okay? This duality that we experience on this plane is about balancing the energies and using them, the positive aspects of each energy, to our benefit. But what happens to us is, especially in our culture today, and because of the history of the energies of the planet currently that have now shifted into an Aquarian age, okay? We were in the Piscean age, which was predominantly masculine. And it's pretty evident, right? By all the world wars, all of these forceful, projected, fighting energies, correct? So the Aquarian age, which we've talked about and we are now officially in, is, let's say, opening up the aspects of the feminine energy and rising up to create a balance, which we have lost. Okay. And I've spoken about this at, I think, almost every single one of my talks. I've spoken about us being the forces that are here on purpose to balance the planet, right? So we chose to be here as women. And of course, as women, we carry all of the characteristics of the divine feminine within us in a more strong way than the male characters do, but that doesn't necessarily have to do with gender. There are very, very feminine men and there are very, very masculine women, okay? And those are traits that we carry within us. But what happens to us, just like anything, when what we resist persists. That's how this whole talk started, when my friend Deborah said, I got it. What we resist persists. The day that she discovered that what we resist persists, it all had to do with understanding what we do to ourselves when we resist or we push away or we hide in the shadows an aspect of ourselves that gets split. And we talked about that in our shadow selves last week, right? So in my own personal experience, I have resisted my femininity. In fact, I've said many times on this talk how not only did I resist it, I completely denied it, pushed it away because it made me feel disempowered. And that had nothing to do with this lifetime per se. It had to do with many lifetimes. And as women, if we've been women, we have probably experienced a lot of that in the past. Not just in this past, but in other pasts. We have probably experienced being very disempowered as women. And as men, we felt very empowered because the energies were aligned with that. So what are the characteristics? And these old systems of the past are still embedded within us, okay? So the way that we manifest our life is changing Okay. And the energies of the planet are changing. And it's allowing this energy, this feminine energy, to rise, okay, and come to the forefront of what's happening in our planet. Okay. So what is it that is feminine energy? The feminine characteristics are very distinct. We know them, right? They are creativity and life force. Just think about nature, right? Nature has the ability to be in a constant state of creating, right? The cycles of nature are a creative process. And as women, our feminine bodies are capable of having life force and creating life, right? That's what makes us distinct. So we're in alignment with that. Sustaining. So Mother Nature is very sustaining. We are part of that when we're in our feminine. It always demands truth. So when you are not in your truth, and we've spoken about this, you are denying your feminine energy. Okay? It receives versus projects. Now, think of the female and male body, right? It's a perfect example of the feminine and the masculine, correct? The female receives and the male projects, right? That's why testosterone is a force of projection. It fights, it pushes, it projects. Think about it that way. It's very easy to understand. And the feminine receives. You see, it's the yin and the yang. It's the male and the female. It's the perfect balance between the two. When the two are in harmony together within yourself or within a relationship, everything is perfect. You are a force to be reckoned with because you're using both sides of your energy. It also is magnetic, okay? It attracts versus electric, which gets, okay? So magnetic, think of when you are in a magnetic state, you attract things to you. You don't have to push things to happen. You're in flow. So being in feminine energy allows things to flow. I mean, nature doesn't force a seed to sprout. Okay? I've been watching this mango tree here off my window, and I saw when it was a flower, then it became a little baby teeny mango, and then it started growing, and all of it seems perfectly effortless. They're just about ripe to fall off the tree right now, but it's just beautiful flow to watch. And it reminds me how easy it is when you're in flow with your feminine. Okay, that's how it works. It's pure potentiality, like a seed in the ground. So think of it in terms of that. As you're feminine, you are a seed in the ground. It's very feeling versus thinking. So we all know this, and this is we're going to talk about the aspects of when you are out of alignment with your feminine. Okay, when you are in your thinking mind, when you're in your logical mind, you are not in your feminine. Okay, but in our culture, our conditioning is to be very, we give a lot of credence to the masculine energy. We have to push and be successful. We have to get up and work. We have to do everything. We have to fight our to-do list, get our emails done. So we're as women today, we are in a state of resistance to our feminine just to be able to get through the day. This is a fact. This is what we live. So it is very challenging to pull in that feminine energy in yourselves. And we're going to talk about how to do that. Okay. So when you're in your thinking mind and all you do is think and all you value is statistics and data and all of that, you are out of balance. You need to get in touch with your feminine. And as an entrepreneur myself, I'm going to admit that I had been challenged to find my feminine for a very long time. Okay. And it's funny because we are trained from day one by the conditions of how our parents were with us and how our mothers especially is the first representation of the divine feminine within us. So we're going to talk about that as well. So whenever in its forceful nature, sometimes the divine feminine, like Mother Nature, destroys something so that it can start anew. Think about fires, think about hurricanes. It's a force to be reckoned with. And we have that within us ourselves. We can be just as destructive when something needs to be rebirthed. Okay, it's not always about, flowers and butterflies. The divine feminine can be intense. Okay, it's very much about being versus doing. I've talked about this many times that I was incorrectly named, right? That, now I feel like I'm correctly named. I am B, right? But I spent a lot of time doing. Okay, a lot of time doing, which meant I was very, very out of balance. And I've spoken about this, that for years and years and years, my left side of my body, which this is a really great way of understanding whether you are resisting your femininity. If your ailments, your pains, any of your issues happen on your left side, which is the opposite in the body and the polarity of your form. Okay, so the left side, if you feel ailment on your left side, you are denying your feminine. If you feel ailments on your right side, you are denying your masculine. Okay, so for me, every single thing that happened to me was always on my left. Everything. And that I didn't realize it at the time, but now I know, and I ask myself in my body. So your body is the first indicator of whether you're in your feminine or you're in your masculine. When you're in balance, nothing should be ailing you. Okay? And your body is one of the best resources for you to know how you're doing internally, inside of yourself, in your energy. I only recently started to get out of alignment with being too much in my feminine. Only recently. And it actually made me very happy. It made me so happy because I was like, oh my God, I'm finally in touch with my feminine, and it's interesting because we have all these conditions with, for example, ask yourself, what are the things that you feel represent you as a woman? Putting on makeup, putting on a pair of high heels, being a mother, nurturing and kindness, compassion.
Wearing dresses.
Exactly. I love that one because I love that you say that, Deborah, because the other day when you told me you were taking a dress, I was like, what? She's wearing a dress? When has Deborah worn a dress? Okay. So this is all of these things, if let's think of it in terms of intention. Okay. If you're cool with any of these elements that make up your femininity, okay, and you embrace them, you're in harmony with your femininity. If you resist them, like saying, fuck no, I'm not wearing a dress, okay, if you resist them, right, you're denying your feminine. Okay, let's just say it that way. You're denying your feminine. So how do you feel about going out without putting on makeup? Do you feel you need to? Do you feel you should? Or do you embrace it and say, I love putting on makeup? There's a difference. There's a difference between having to and desiring to. You understand? So this is what I want you to feel inside of your body. When you ask yourself, what does it mean for me to be a woman? What makes me feel like a woman? Okay. And a lot of times that also affects our sensuality and our sexuality. When we are overly masculine, we lose our sensuality. And in turn, our sexuality gets affected. Sometimes when we are, let's say, if we're working too hard, if we're trying to do all of these, pay the bills, get the money in, we're doing all of these things that are for providing, okay, we can get completely out of alignment with our femininity. And we lose our sensuality. Okay. And therefore we lose our sexuality. In other words, our desire for sex. Okay. So the only way, and as women especially, we all know this, if we are not feeling very sensual, we are in denial of our femininity. Okay. And we all experience that. All of us. We get so caught up in the work, in the to-dos, in the getting it done, in the forcing things to happen, that we lose our desire. Okay. We lose our desire. So that's a perfect indicator of being out of balance with your femininity. Now, femininity is, the problem with it is that everybody thinks of it as something that is weak. At least that's the conditioning that society gives us. But is Mother Nature weak? Mother Nature is not weak. Okay, those of you who are still menstruating, you have to ask yourselves, how do you feel about your period? Do you embrace it? Do you love it? Do you think it's the most amazing thing in the world? But if it is, but I have to tell you, that's how you have to feel about it, because that is your creative force. That is your life force. Okay, so you have to embrace your menstruation. Love it. Be kind to it. Okay, that's why there's such a prevalence of breast cancer and ovarian cancer in our culture, and uterine, because women are conditioned to be fighting all the time in the workforce. Okay, so we have to counteract that and embrace our femininity in other ways. And I can tell you, I'm the first one. Like, let me ask you something. How many of you girls love pink? How do you feel about pink? You like it? You're like, eh. Right? Okay, I can tell you, I hated pink. You like pink?
I love pink. I love pink and purple.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. I love pink and purple.
That's awesome. That's awesome. But I can tell you, I personally hated pink. There wasn't a single pink thing in my wardrobe. Not one. Okay. Now, today, I love pink. It's like a revelation. I love pink. And I used to hate it. Literally, I was like, okay, I was not attracted to that color at all, because in my world, pink represents the feminine. But this is like a subconscious thing. It's not in your consciousness. It's at the back of your mind. Like when you go to grab something to put on, to me, putting on an outfit in pink just did not resonate with me, But today, I actually I'm very attracted to things that are pink. in my wardrobe. And that's a new thing for me, I can tell you. So in order for us to bring the feminine in, let me give you tips on how to bring the feminine in. And everybody can express it in different ways. For me, my fullest expression of creativity, I am a very creative person. So when I am in the state of creation, like designing, when I'm creating a great meal, when I'm dancing, that's a big deal for me. When my body is moving in dance, and I'm a ballerina, so imagine more, that's the most pink I ever wore in my life, my pink tights and my pink slippers, okay? That was it, okay? That's how I expressed my feminine. When I'm in that mode, okay, I feel very aligned. And I guess that's how I was able to balance myself out in my life, okay, personally. So those of you who, if you're out of balance, if you feel that you're going into that complete masculine mode and you need to get in balance, dance is an amazing tool. And it doesn't have to be fancy or anything. You could dance in your own living room, okay? You can just expression, creativity, getting in touch with your own body, okay? That brings the feminine into alignment. So we must intend to connect with our feminine. So this isn't something that you just do randomly. You know, you can say, if you're not into putting on makeup, you can start feeling, oh, I really enjoy putting on makeup for myself. I really enjoy putting on a pair of heels for myself. Okay, these are the ways in which you can start connecting with your femininity. You can also use a feminine archetype of some sort. Like you can say, I'm Wonder Woman. Look at that. I love her because she's like a perfect representation of balance between feminine and masculine, right? Isn't she an amazing archetype? So you could use her in your mind when you're going to invoke your femininity. Or you can use Mother Mary if that connects more with you. If you're the more nurturing, loving, motherly type, which is perfectly fine. How you express your femininity is your choice, but express it because that's what you came here for. And if you're out of balance, if you're experiencing any ailments, okay, on your left side of your body, how many of you have had chronic things that come out, and where do they come out? If you really want to, you know, there's so many divine feminine meditations out there that you can tap into and move into. So grounding is super important for all of us. Okay. I never imagined that, but I never thought of it that way, as like a dress and showing your legs.
Yeah.
Which is so nice.
Mm.
Deborah.
That's why I won't never
Deborah,
forget
we need to
this.
get you some more dresses, honey, because you definitely need to balance. Like Deborah's expression of her femininity is in her motherhood. This is where she shines. Like she is such an amazing mother, and it's true. And I admire her balance in finding, because I mean, Deborah has a tendency to be masculine, okay? Very
100%.
right. But yet she finds her balance in her motherhood. You see, I found my balance in my creativity. This is where I went to. Every time I felt like I needed to express myself and get balanced, because your body, you know what happens, guys, is that you will work towards balance. You're looking for coherence all the time. But what you resist persists, right? And it persists until you get in balance. This is the key to everything in your life. The key to everything in your life is finding the balance between the two aspects of yourself, the inside, the outside, the yin, the yang, the female, the male. This is what we're all doing here. So when you're out of balance, your body or your experiences or your behaviors or what you attract to yourself is going to bring in the opposite so that you can get in balance. You get it? Does that make sense? Okay, because that pendulum is swinging, and if you don't get into the middle space, okay, you're not still. Think about resistance. Now, you see these little acts that seem insignificant, but they're significant because what you deny is in your shadow. What you resist is back there pushing up against you. You understand? Acting on your behalf to get you in balance. So if you don't integrate who you really are, guess what? It's going to show up to get integrated. And it may show up in a negative way, like a friend of mine who had felt that she needed to be more powerful as a woman, and she ended up with breast cancer. I mean, as a man, excuse me. So she's enforcing herself in a world in a masculine, but she really is incredibly feminine. So guess what? It shows up in your body. Okay? So what we want is to get in coherence with ourselves. We want to integrate every aspect. So Leo, you've done the full pendulum, like all the way from one side to the other. It's time to find the middle space and use both your masculine and your feminine energies. And you can do this through expressing yourself creatively. If you like art, paint, use one of those coloring books. I have a friend of mine who paints by number, okay? Two of them, actually. They love painting by number because it just gets them in touch with their creativity, okay? Dance, feel feminine, be sensual. Also, okay, getting in touch with your body. If you guys are watching the Goop Lab, highly recommend the one on femininity, okay? If you guys have watched that, it was like, whoa, that was interesting, okay? Very good show. Why? Because we deny our femininity in this culture because it's thought of as weakness. But we are not weak. Mother Nature is powerful and we are part of it. So we have to grab that force and integrate it into ourselves. Otherwise, it's going to show up in our bodies, in our behavior, and in and the things that are around us. Okay? So these are the things that I want to give you as tips. Okay? So we must intend to connect with our feminine, okay, by intention. It's not something that you do like whatever. No, no, no. Leo, you've made the first step. I intend to get balanced. This is what you need to say. I want to embrace my femininity. I'm going to integrate it fully into me. And this is how I'm going to do it. Invoke your feminine by using an archetype that you like. Maybe Wonder Woman is perfect for you, Leo. She's a nice combo. All right. Surrender to all aspects of the feminine, okay? And make friends with them. All the aspects that I mentioned earlier, which I will post on the chat after this because I already have these notes pre-prepared, you need to bring them in and become friends with them. Okay? Say, I am compassionate. I can be kind. Okay? If I need to destroy something, I'm ready to destroy it so that it can be reborn through me. All of that has to be part of your expression. Use guided meditations to activate your feminine energy. Highly recommend that. The feminine energy is found in your body, as I described, so pay attention to where you have an issue. And when you see something come up, let's say it's a pain in your right shoulder, find out why. What were you doing? What were you thinking? What was your mindset before that pain started? Okay? Connect with your emotions. Remember these words. You have to feel it in order to heal it. And the feminine divinity is all about emotion. It's about feeling, not about thinking. You can't think your way out of these problems. You have to feel your way out of them. Express your creativity in your own favorite way, whatever that is. Whatever that is. If it's painting by numbers or one of those coloring books or dancing in your living room, go for it. Okay? Connect with the darkness. Okay? This is an interesting one. Connect with the shadow. Connect. How do you feel uncomfortable in that space? Whatever comes up for you when we did the exercises from last week, deal with it, face it, look at it. Don't shove it down. This is one of my favorites, the one that we least do. Go with the flow and practice effortless living. Okay? Trust that everything's going to be okay and that everything is working out for you. This is feminine. Masculine goes out and fights and challenges and throws and projects, but feminine goes with the flow, guys. We are meant to go with the flow. You can't pull a baby out of your womb at 3 months and expect it to be fine. Okay? It's got to go with the flow. Be in nature. Mother Nature is feminine. So if you ever need a little grounding, use those legs, those beautiful feminine legs of yours, whether you shave them or not, and get on the ground and feel it. And just stand there and take 3 deep breaths. Just breathe it in. You can't help but get grounded and feel connected. Okay? Explore your relationship with your mother. In fact, yesterday I asked my daughter, now that she's here with me, I said, how do you feel about me now? And that was really interesting because we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot. And like I said, you have to feel it to heal it. Okay. And who I am as a mother today is not even remotely like the mother that I was then. But I also had to forgive myself for not being the mother that I wish that I would have been. But I think every one of us feels that way, and every mother feels that way. We never feel that we are doing the right thing because every child is a unique expression of itself, right? And they don't come with an instruction booklet, and you can't Google it. So it's hard. We always feel inadequate, that we're not doing the right thing. So have you forgiven your mother for anything that she wasn't? This is huge. What did you expect your mother to be that she wasn't? How has that influenced you, whether you're a mother or not? What did you want? I know that my daughter wanted, I called it the teddy bear mom. I know my daughter wanted the teddy bear mom, the one that's like, ay, mi amorcito, todo está perfecto, ven para acá, déjame cogerte. But I was the mother that got up early in the morning and went to fight in the entrepreneurial world of work. And I've always told her that she had the blessing of 3 mothers. You know, Ophelia was the one that was taking care of her on a daily basis while I went to work. And then she had her sister, who's the hard disciplinarian. It's like, what do you mean you're staying out beyond midnight? And I was like, yeah, don't worry, come home, just call me, whatever. So we each have our characteristics of what motherhood is about. But what you don't want is to have any, how do you call it, like Leo is experiencing, that her mother was so extreme that she went to the other extreme. Okay, that's not good. How do you feel now as an adult about your mother? And how has that affected you? The most important thing here, guys, is to remember that we are in a state of trying to get in coherence with ourselves. We all decided to come here as women. There's a reason for that. We came as a package to know exactly who we are. And remember that statement that I have you say all the time. I know who I am in truth. I know what I am in truth. I know how I serve in truth. When we are in our truth, we are able to serve in our truth with the strongest force that is within us. And we cannot be that until we are in alignment. That's the reason we came. And that's why this group is predominantly women, because somehow this woman that didn't have girlfriends until she was 40 decided to shift and get on purpose. And look at what has happened. Look at this bounty of women that I am surrounded by, okay? And have the pleasure of sharing these beautiful Sundays with. I do this because I love to give back and serve from my feminine. Okay, this is what I do. And there's so many of you that are being called, like Michelle Alba, like Maritza doing her shamanic work, like Anna Toole teaching every Friday morning, like Adita. All of you are being called to do what you need to do, to bring the feminine energy of this planet up. We are rising up, not as a feminine force to be reckoned with and fight. No, with compassion and kindness and love and forgiveness and acceptance. These are our tools. These are our swords. Okay? This is what we're here to do. And it may not happen in my generation. It may not happen in my daughter's generation. And who knows if it even happens in her daughter's generations. But I can tell you it's going to happen. Okay? And we're all here to make it happen, one little drop at a time. So find yourselves, be in your truth, get in balance. Leo, you're our poster child today. Thank you. Thank you for bringing this up because it is so important. Okay? Be the feminine force that we need on this planet. And like I've always said, you can't fight or change something with the energy with which it was created. 90% of what's been created on this planet has been created through a masculine force. Let's get in balance, ladies. Let's start from ourselves and then project it out into the world. Okay? Thank you so much for being with me today. I love seeing all your beautiful faces. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday, a beautiful week.